Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into something, well, truly impactful. It's a book called Practical Financial Tips from Islamic Financial Culture by Reuben Onunga. In a world that's constantly shouting, buy more, earn more, this book, it offers a really refreshing counter-narrative. It feels like a roadmap to a more conscious, disciplined, and actually a surprisingly liberating way to handle money. So our mission today is to really pull out the universal, timeless wisdom from this financial culture. And look, this isn't about specific religious rules, but about finding those core principles that can genuinely transform your relationship with wealth, whatever your background. We're going to explore how seeing money not just as, cash, but as a test of character, well, how that can lead to real peace of mind. Get ready for maybe some perspective shifts here.
Yeah, and what's really compelling, I think, is that the author, Onunga, he comes from engineering, a different faith background entirely, and yet he's managed to distill these principles into such actionable advice. It's quite remarkable. He really cuts through the noise, showing us that at its core, this culture sees money as a profound trust. They call it amana. It's a test of your character.
Yeah.
So the book becomes a guide to discipline, yes, but also fairness and ultimately sustainable prosperity, not just for one person, but, for communities too.
Okay, theme one then.
Yeah.
Wealth as a trust, not ownership, and alongside that, the power of simplicity. Let's jump right into this first big idea because it feels like it changes everything. Wealth as a trust, not absolute ownership.
Yeah.
The book is pretty direct. Kings die, leave palaces, empires fall, leave treasures. Nobody really owns wealth forever.
Exactly. That concept, Amina, it genuinely reframes your whole financial mindset. If you start thinking of wealth not as something you inherently possess, but as, say, a temporary loan placed in your hands by a giver, to be managed wisely just for a time, it completely changes how you interact with it.
How so?
Well, instead of desperately clinging to it or, carelessly squandering it, it demands something different. Prudence, honesty, balance. See, if we think we own it absolutely, it's easy for arrogance to creep in. That can lead to waste, maybe a lack of generosity. But seeing it as a trust, that encourages humility and it inspires, wiser management. The real test isn't the figure in your bank account, it's your faithfulness as a steward.
The author uses this fantastic analogy. Wealth is like water in your hands. Grip it too tight, it just escapes through your fingers. Hold it too loosely, it slips away. But guide it carefully, maybe towards fertile ground. It nourishes life long after it leaves your palm.
That's a powerful image, isn't it?
It really is.
It makes you wonder, if you truly believed every single dollar passing through your hands was just a temporary loan, how would that change your next spending decision? It shifts from just, can I afford this, to something deeper, like, is this the wisest use of this trust? Right. And that idea of stewardship, it leads naturally into the second principle we need to touch on, the power of simplicity and moderation. So many of us feel this constant pressure, this burden of endless desires. We're sort of enslaved by the urge to buy, to show off, to impress others. The book talks about israf, which is basically wasteful extravagance, as the major pitfall. And history, it's full of examples. Empires crumbling, not from outside threats, but from the internal rot of their own excess. The human heart, once it gets intoxicated by too much, it's rarely satisfied, The more it gets, the more it seems to crave.
That rings so true, doesn't it? That feeling of chasing a moving target, always wanting the next thing. And the book clarifies, simplicity here isn't about poverty or harsh self-denial. It's about choosing balance.
Exactly, balance.
It's about knowing that crucial difference between what truly sustains life and what, ultimately suffocates it. The book really hammers home separating needs from wants. Food is a need, but feasting beyond reason or, accumulating gadgets you barely use, those are often wants that end up bringing more burden than joy. The Prophet Muhammad himself, apparently, despite having access to resources and a large following, lived incredibly simply. And the lesson there seems powerful. True strength isn't in endless consumption, but in self-discipline. The person who can genuinely say no to unnecessary spending. They often find a treasure many wealthy people miss, that profound sense of peace and freedom.
That internal freedom, yes.
Okay, theme 2, practical stewardship. So if we're stewards, how do we manage wealth practically, especially around things like debt, saving, planning? The book takes a really firm stance against riba, or interest. It highlights how things like conventional credit cards, payday loans, they can trap millions in these endless repayment cycles. It's a strong critique.
And the reason why is quite insightful. The argument is that riba fundamentally destroys fairness in financial dealings. Why? because it allows money to grow for the lender without them sharing in the effort or the risk of whatever the borrower is doing.
Right, I see.
Imagine you're starting a business. With a typical loan, the bank gets its interest payment whether your business booms or busts, right? REBA is seen as enriching institutions, potentially at the expense of crushing families. It fuels greed, widens inequality. Now, debt itself isn't totally forbidden in this view, but the book urges extreme caution. Reserve it for genuine needs, not, vanity purchases or reckless desires. There's even a powerful prayer attributed to the prophet asking for protection from debt, recognizing its power to enslave the mind, burden the soul.
That's a stark warning. So in our society, which is so incredibly reliant on credit and interest, what alternatives does the book suggest?
That's where it gets really innovative, I think. The book points to concepts like mudaraba, that's profit sharing, and musharaka, which is more like a joint partnership.
Okay, how do those work?
Well, instead of a fixed interest loan where the lender profits regardless, imagine an investor who actually partners with you. They share in both the potential profit and the potential risk of your venture. If your business thrives, you both win. If it struggles, well, you both feel the impact. It's that shared destiny rather than a guaranteed gain for just one party that's at the core. It tries to shift business from potential exploitation towards cooperation. It fosters mutual success, protects dignity. It's about sharing the journey, not just charging for the map, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's a fundamental paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And it seems to lead directly into the discipline of planning and saving. Because, tomorrow always arrives, ready or not.
Okay.
Yet so many of us live just for today, consuming everything, no thought for the future. This book really champions that habit of consistent saving, the discipline of looking ahead.
Absolutely. And saving, in this context, it isn't presented as selfish hoarding. Not at all. It's framed as a profound act of safeguarding your stability, your resilience. It's that quiet discipline that allows a family to weather unexpected storms, a job loss, a medical emergency, without completely collapsing. The book uses that brilliant historical example, the story of Prophet Yusuf, or Joseph in the Bible. He advised storing grain during 7 years of abundance to prepare for 7 years of famine, and it saved an entire nation. So planning isn't just about stashing cash away randomly, it adds purpose to saving. Money set aside for education, retirement, emergencies. It becomes a powerful tool. And this is in stark contrast, isn't it, to modern culture, which often glorifies instant gratification. That leads so many people to this fragile existence where they might look prosperous outside, but they're actually drowning in debt.
Right. So it's about building a buffer, creating that quiet confidence and resilience, not just for individuals, but for communities too. The wisdom seems to lie in preparing for those seasons of scarcity during the seasons of plenty, making sure you're not, feasting today only to face famine tomorrow. It really makes you think, what specific steps could you take, starting today, to prepare for your own 7 lean years? Or maybe to seize future opportunities rather than just waiting for things to happen.
That's the practical application right there.
Okay, theme 3, purposeful engagement. Moving from personal management, let's talk about how we engage with wealth in the wider world. Modern finance often lets one party win while another loses. This deep dive offers a different approach. Risks and rewards should be shared. Investments should be ethical. And apparently it starts with the source of your income itself.
Absolutely. The book really digs into the discipline of halal income, which means lawful, pure income. Now, that's not just a religious term in this context. It signifies money earned with truth, fairness, and dignity. It means wealth acquired without cheating, without fraud, without exploitation, and avoiding industries that actively harm society. It's the kind of wealth you can hold with pride, Feed your family without guilt. The opposite, haram or forbidden income, is seen as poisoning everything it touches. It brings no real peace, no blessing.
So practically, what does that look like?
Practically, it means things like honesty in your trade, giving fair measure, honoring contracts, and consciously refusing to profit from things like gambling, alcohol, industries built on exploitation. This kind of discipline, the book argues, strengthens the soul against greed. It builds lasting trust and prosperity, not just for you, but within society.
That's a powerful call for integrity in how you earn. And it connects directly to how we choose to invest that income, right? The book urges this mindfulness, asking questions like, does this business serve humanity or exploit it? Does it build fairness or does it widen injustice? The source mentions how ancient Muslim merchants were trusted across continents, not just for business skill, but for their unwavering honesty. So connecting this to the bigger picture for listeners, How do your investments align with the kind of world you actually want to build? Are they just about personal gain, or are they contributing to something, larger and better?
That's a crucial question, and it leads us beautifully to another concept that really redefines generosity: zakat and sadaqah. Many of us find joy in what we accumulate, what we keep. But this tradition teaches a different kind of joy, a quiet, profound joy that comes from what we release.
Tell us more about that distinction, zakat and sadaqah.
Okay, so zakat is often described as a compulsory act of giving. Think of it maybe like a spiritual tax, but the word itself means both purification and growth. It's seen as an obligation designed to purify wealth from selfishness and also to invite divine blessing. Functionally, it actively interrupts the concentration of wealth. It redistributes some riches, helping prevent societies from crumbling under extreme inequality by ensuring a portion flows to those in need.
Okay, that's zakat and sadaqah.
Sadaqah is different. It's voluntary generosity. It's driven purely by love, by compassion. It could be a quiet coin given to someone struggling on the street, a meal shared with a neighbor, even just a kind word offered sincerely. These acts, the book suggests, often bring more benefit to the giver than even the recipient in terms of peace of mind, contentment, that feeling of connection.
It is a beautiful paradox, isn't it? The idea that the more you release, the freer and, in a way, richer you become. Not necessarily in currency, but richer in spirit. The book uses that water analogy again. Wealth nourishes when it moves, when it flows, but it breeds disease, stagnation, when it just stands still, hoarded in one place.
Precisely.
So it raises a genuinely interesting question for all of us. How might consciously letting go through purposeful giving actually enrich your life and your community more profoundly than just holding on tighter?
Very powerful question indeed.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive into practical financial tips from Islamic financial culture by Reuben Juma Onunga.
Wow.
It's been a powerful reminder. Money really is one of life's biggest paradoxes, isn't it? It can empower or enslave, be a blessing or a curse. But at its heart, what this book really drives home is it's about principles, values, and aligning your finances with a bigger purpose.
Absolutely. The wisdom we've touched on, from that profound idea of wealth as a trust to the daily practice of moderation. From the call for justice in debt and investments to the liberating power of generosity and honest work. It feels incredibly practical and timeless. It's really about building a financial life that reflects your deepest values, creating prosperity that isn't just for you, but maybe for your family, your community too, and ultimately finding peace and dignity in how you manage it all.
So as you, the listener, reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this. How might viewing your money as a temporary trust rather than something you absolutely own truly change just one key financial decision you make this week? Maybe think about this too. What lasting legacy of peace and unity beyond just the material stuff do you want your financial choices to build for your family, for those around you?
We certainly hope this deep dive has offered you, maybe not all the answers, but perhaps a practical roadmap towards peace, dignity, and lasting prosperity, all grounded in wisdom that, well, it feels like it truly endures.
Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep digging for those nuggets of knowledge.